All right, so if you watched the Super Bowl this year, and you probably watched it, during the commercials you saw a lot of this guy.
We're going in.
Taylor Kitsch. The Super Bowl marks the start of Hollywood's blockbuster season, and Taylor is shouldering not one, but two of this year's biggest tentpole flicks.
We did not cause this, but this very night, we will end it!
But here's the thing, growing up in Kelowna, British Columbia, Taylor didn't look to a career in movies. He was actually dreaming like a lot of us were, playing in the NHL. Here's the thing, he was close. He was really good. Then at the age of 19, he blew out his knee. So, change of plan, moved to New York to study acting, picked up the odd modeling job. He's handsome, spent most nights sleeping on a friend's floor or sometimes in the subway or the car. And then he caught a break. The part of the troubled fullback Tim Riggins on Friday Night Lights. Throughout its 5-season run, Friday Night Lights didn't have massive ratings, but it was critically acclaimed, and it helped Taylor land roles in films like Wolverine and the late Pulitzer Prize winner Kevin Carter in The Bang Bang Club.
It's our job to sit there and watch people die.
Now Taylor's got his first big lead. He's the title character in a $250 million sci-fi epic called John Carter. And since battling aliens on Mars isn't enough, later this year, he'll fight them at sea, Battleship.
We're looking at an extinction-level event.
All told, Hollywood has close to $500 million riding on Taylor this year. But hey, no pressure.
Taylor Kitsch. All right, bud. Good to see you, man. How are you?
Great. Wow. If you put it that way.
I think it's amazing, man. The fact that, because even though you're young, you've been doing this for a significant portion of time, it's still not that long to be in this position.
Yeah, to be at this level, I guess, and to be, or have the rep, you know, to have worked with the guys that I've been fortunate enough to work with, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You sort of seek that out, don't you, those kind of guys?
I think so. You got to keep pushing the envelope.
What's the scope? Like, when I saw John Carter, man, and that is a massive movie.
Yeah.
What is it like? Because Friday Night Lights is the underdog, right? Gritty underdog kind of story.
Yeah.
Then this happens. What's it like when you walk on set and just the scope of this?
It happens in rehearsal.
Does it?
Yeah, where it's like, I mean, we ended up, we shot a lot on the stages in London, and you walk on these stages, and I hadn't been exposed to these sets. I mean, they're insane. Really? And Stanton's like, so this will be the first...
That's the director, right?
The director, Andrew Stanton, Pixar Days, wrote and directed WALL-E, you know, Oscar winner, just saying. Yeah, so we're on there in the stages, and he's, so this is going to be our first set, you know, it's pretty subtle, and I'm just like, okay. There's these moments that you have along this ride that kind of put you in that moment, and that was definitely one of them the first day working with him.
Well, and now this is a guy, so WALL-E, there's no dialogue. What's it like working with, now there's dialogue.
He's amazing. He is. I've never worked with anyone that's prepped as much as he has in any job I've ever been a part of. And with that first meeting, it's floor to ceiling preparation, and he never talked about scope. He never talked about budget, the grandeur. It was more of just the core of Carter, of just who he is, this broken, flawed guy that you meet and who he becomes. And that was when I knew I was more than safe. And I came out of that meeting, and I phoned my manager. I'm like, my hat's in the ring. I got to do it. I got to go for it.
That's a big, massive Disney film. That's a really funny moment when I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, okay, in this picture, all of a sudden, there's you, and then there's McNulty from The Wire in it, and then and then Bryan Cranston, who's in it from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, there's a lot of grit in this, isn't there?
Absolutely. You got. I think Mark Strong's one of the best actors I've ever worked with.
Strong's amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And it goes from Willem Dafoe to Sam Morton. At one point, we had like 9 Oscars on set, and you're like, yeah, I'm around the right company right now. This feels right. You know what I mean? It's one of those, it's just such a cool place to be and grow. And like we said last time, I was here. It's a matter of surrounding myself with these people. Oh man, I've been lucky. I really have. And I feel I've worked my way to get to this point, but you're very conscious of surrounding yourself with the right people.
Listen, you walked in, so you got this, and you got, obviously Battleship, which is a very famous game we all played, and then you wrapped the trilogy up separately with this Oliver Stone film. Yeah. Okay, so Oliver Stone, though, is notorious for hammering actors. Were you scared walking out? Like, what?
Oh, man, I had no one knows this, but I had other directors emailing me to tell me to get out.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on. Directors that, like,
I admire. I haven't worked with, but I won't say his name, but especially this one, he wrote me an email just saying, hey, I know your process, I think you'll be okay, but if you want my professional opinion and as a friend, get out. And I'm like, wow, this is, I don't know if I really want to take this in too much, So you hear all these things. Yeah. And I will tell you, though, man, if you don't prep and you don't do your homework, no set will be fun, but let alone an Oliver Stone set,
So, but you have all this outside information going in. And then, and so now when you meet him, is it like, hi,
you know what, I'll tell you, I think it's a lot. I play a mercenary. I play this Navy SEAL that's jaded from life. His dad beat the crap out of him. So he's got scars. I trained with Navy SEALs during Battleship in Hawaii.
Did they let you go after Bin Laden too? Were you part of that?
I was shipping. I was like, hey, man, I'll go. All right. But we were, hanging out with these guys, and I worked out with a guy that had shrapnel scars up and down his body. And so I applied that to Chon, and the guy playing Savages, and he's got scars all down his face and down the side and on his back, and half his body is covered in tats. And so I think I vicariously lived through. In retrospect, it was like, well, nobody would ever mess with Chon.
Right.
And so when Oliver would come, or anybody for that matter, it would just be like very much, even unconsciously living through Chon.
So you basically projected
I hope so. I'm telling myself
nobody would go after you for it.
Yeah.
It can be
even working with Travolta, too, and these guys, I have one of the most intense scenes I've ever done is with him. And, I think that, too, you can't be intimidated. And it's, again, Chon and Benicio del Toro, he's a mercenary of the cartel. And he's brilliant in this, by the way. To watch him doing his thing was pretty great.
Are you guys ever, do you ever have moments when it's about soaking in what they do? Like, trying to...
I'd go to work when I'm not working, when I'm not on the call sheet that day, and just watch him do his thing. Right. It's silly. I mean, there's a scene where I will. Yeah. There's a scene between Travolta and Benicio where one is incredibly driving the other in the scene. And I will tell you, to watch that scene, you're watching, you walk away going, oh, okay, that's why they're who they are and why they've done the work they've done.
Right. I imagine that in its disconnected way would be intimidating for you, because then it's like, because it's one thing to get here, but then to keep building your career as you get older.
And holding your own. It's one thing, like you said, to get there, but it's also to stay there. And that's the key to the career.
See, I figured you could learn that stuff from hockey. This is where you can apply your hockey experience, couldn't you? To get to the level you did in hockey, you have to have that kind of ability, don't you?
I think, and I've always been an underdog. I've always known that. That's all I've known. At school, in hockey, I've always the fourth line guy.
Come on. Really?
Maybe not in my last couple years junior, but I made this all-star team that traveled all over Canada, and I made it solely on work ethic. And he'll even tell you now, I'm sure, that the coach. And a lot of those guys played in the NHL, and a lot are still in the show or in the minors. And that is why he kept me on, because a lot of these guys had egos at 15 or 14, whatever it was. And he kept me on because I was that kid. I was that kid that just would be just the fifth. There's 4 lines and an extra, and I was the extra.
Where does that come from in you?
Oh,
is that a family unit thing?
Maybe. I think it's a lot of that. I think it just is. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, my mom, had us 3 boys growing up, and men in and out of the life, maybe having to kind of just. To watch your mom struggle as much as she did, I don't know, maybe it's just all that combined.
Well, and to process that and to be positive through it is difficult.
Right.
How did your brothers and you, did you talk, how did you guys, because when a guy watches his mom suffer, man.
Oh, man. I'm emotional now.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
It's the worst, right?
Yeah.
Did you?
I don't know, my brother... Everyone has their problems growing up, and I wouldn't change it for anything, So in retrospect, I loved it. you know, but in the time, there's definitely a struggle. And I think that just makes everyone tighter. You know, my family was there at the premiere of JC in LA, and the beauty of that was none of them really said anything. I sat beside my mom, and so the film ended, and it was received incredibly well. And I look over, and she's just like this. And I'm like, what do you think right now? What's going on? And my brothers were down the aisle, and none of them, I think it was just a lot for all of us to be in that moment together. And finally, I got emails a day later, 2 days later, of the whole fam just saying, okay, I've digressed. Yeah. I know what's up now. And it's like, okay, take this in, Kitsch, you know, blah, blah, blah. But that was just a trip to share all that with them.
I mean, really surreal, right?
Very.
Is it surreal for you that you see your face on the billboards probably not that far off from where you would have slept in a car? Looking at other billboards?
Yeah, sure. The Super Bowl was a silly moment for me.
That was John Carter everywhere.
Everywhere. And then Battleship, too. So, I mean, I had friends going, literally, I would like to just watch the Super Bowl and not you. You know? So there's that. And so that was a cool full circle thing that truly will only happen once in my lifetime.
Right. What's neat about the Carter series, and I assume it'll be in Battleship as well, and it wasn't Friday Night Lights, was this really interesting relationship with darkness. Bang Bang had it as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Savage is going to have it. Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Is that why go there?
Man, we're getting deep right now.
I don't know. This
is good.
You know?
I love it. I love that. I guess, you know, acting is very self-exploratory, and maybe I said it to you. I don't know if it was on camera or not, but I would never be the guy I am today if I had the hockey route. If I just took that. Because the work has just asked so much more, and growth-wise, being scared all the time. So I think that is so much of it. And, you know, these roles I love. You know, I love to dive in and kind of escape into them, you know. So, and to tell a story, and if there's no emotion involved, and who knows a perfect guy, by the way? You know, I certainly don't. Yeah. And they're no fun to play. The guys that we admire growing up, like you know, a Newman, a Dean, you know, a Penn, or any of these guys, they're legit, you know, and they tell those stories and rip you into them, and I love that.
Where's the fear now? Do you have it on the regular?
Oh, man, it's funny because everyone's like, oh, you haven't, you know, you might change, or they're waiting for some kind of whatever it is, the ego to go through the roof, whatever. This is a humbling experience. It is a lot more, I'm a lot more vulnerable going through this because it's all, you know, your heart's in these gigs, so.
Yeah, if the movie, if you hear about a big budget, if it doesn't deliver on money, then you're sitting there, even though it's not on you, you're gonna.
But it's on me. Oh, it's on you.
That's right.
Yeah.
How's that working?
I'm gonna go throw up. This is ridiculous.
Stick around more with Taylor after this. Taylor Kitsch. We didn't make that. There are numbers of tributes to you. You made that.
I made that. Nobody knows this.
All this Tim Riggin stuff online is crazy.
I think it's, and especially now, but I think it's one of those things. Obviously, we did 5 years because of those guys, the fans. Yeah. Throwing footballs in and sending footballs to NBC, broken light bulbs, all that kind of stuff. That's why we went 5. But now it's one of those things of like, taking something that you love away from someone, they have to have it more.
Right.
And so now that it's gone, officially done, now people love it even more. And now I'm starting to feel all that again. It's great.
I hear there's the screenplay though. There's the movie. Is that real?
I'm hearing the same thing, but I talk to Pete every day, and Pete Berg, and I keep bugging him about it. And I haven't seen a script yet. And he knows how I feel with Riggs and how we left him. So we'll see.
And you want to do it?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. I gotta read the script. I got it. I love it. It's so hard to say no to Pete.
Yeah.
It truly is. And in every way, like, he's such an amazing guy.
Well, I couldn't do a movie like that without you in it, though.
Tell Pete that.
I want to show you another clip here. Let's play this clip here. Get your thoughts on this. That's an event you hosted, right, in Austin?
Yep.
Tell me about that.
We can talk all night about that. I just came back from, I'm still looking at it. In November, I went to Africa. I had a month or 18 day or 20-something days off. And I've been trying to do this documentary. I went to Africa. I'm going to talk as fast as I can to get as much out.
Do it.
I went to Africa years ago because there's that cliche of, like, you can't help one person. You know, and they show all these things late at night of, like, oh, you know, send money now, and they show all the worst of the worst, which I get, but there's also a thing, they try and get in your pockets that way, truly. So I went to Africa with that in my head, and I left truly inspired by the energy and by the kids and by just giving, you know, we have excess opportunity, and we have kids, you know, stressed about what are they gonna do. I could be anything. A fireman, a lawyer, a doctor, a professional athlete. What do you want to do? That's our stress.
Yeah.
Our kids have. There, it's the exact opposite. You don't have an option, you know? So I left at that first time going, you know, let's try and give them one option. And they want to learn. They want to go to school. They want to do all that. So I went to Africa in November, Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya, lived in a hut in Republic of South Sudan with the Minister of Education, and they're still going to school under trees still. So it was an amazing thing, and I'm going to put out a little trailer in a month or two just about the whole process of what the African Children Choir does.
Why is that important to you to tell that
I love
story?
it. It's probably the most proudest thing I've ever done in my life.
Absolutely. Good luck, man, with John Carter and all the rest
cool,
of it.
man. Thank you.
It's great to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Taylor Kitsch, everybody. John Carter opens in theaters this Friday. More tonight. Taylor Kitsch, we'll go back.
Director Andrew Stanton, Pixar Days, wrote and directed WALL-E, you know, Oscar winner, just saying. Yeah, so we're on there in the stages, and he's, so this is gonna be our first, you know, it's pretty subtle, and I'm just like, okay. There's these moments that you have along this ride that kind of put you in that moment, and that was definitely one of them the first day working with him.
Well, and now this is a guy, so WALL-E, there's no dialogue. What's it like working with, now there's dialogue.
He's amazing. He is. I've never worked with anyone that's prepped as much as he has in any job I've ever been a part of. And
Messy battleship.
We're looking at an extinction level event.
All told, Hollywood was close to $500 million riding on Taylor this year. But hey, no pressure. Taylor Kitsch. All right, bud. Good to see you, man. How are you?
Great. Wow. If you put it that way.
I think it's amazing, man. The fact that, because even though you're young, you've been doing this for a significant portion of time, it's still not that long to be in this position.
Yeah, to be at this level, I guess, and to be, or have the rep, you know, to have worked with the guys that I've been fortunate enough to work with, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You sort of seek that out, don't you, those kind of guys?
I think so. You got to keep pushing the envelope.
What's the scope? Like, when I saw John Carter, man, and that is a massive movie.
Yeah.
What is it like? Because Friday Night Lights is the underdog, right? Gritty underdog kind of story.
Yeah.
Then this happens. What's it like when you walk on set and just the scope of this?
It happens in rehearsal.
Does it?
Yeah, where it's like, I mean, we ended up, we shot a lot on the stages in London, and you walk on these stages, and I hadn't been exposed to these sets. I mean, they're insane. Really? And Stanton's like, so this will be the first...
That's the director, right? New York to study acting, picked up the odd modeling job. He's handsome, spent most nights sleeping on a friend's floor or sometimes in the subway or the car, and then he caught a break. The part of the troubled fullback Tim Riggins on Friday Night Lights. Throughout its 5-season run, Friday Night Lights didn't have massive ratings, but it was critically acclaimed, and it helped Taylor land roles in films like Wolverine and as the late Pulitzer Prize winner Kevin Carter in The Bang Bang Club.
It's our job to sit there and watch people die.
Now Taylor's got his first big lead. He's the title character in a $250 million sci-fi epic called John Carter. And since battling aliens on Mars isn't enough, later this year, he'll fight them. All right, so if you watched the Super Bowl this year, and you probably watched it, during the commercials you saw a lot of this guy.
We're going in.
Taylor Kitsch. The Super Bowl marks the start of Hollywood's blockbuster season, and Taylor is shouldering not one, but two of this year's biggest tentpole flicks.
We did not cause this, but this very night, we will end it!
But here's the thing, growing up in Kelowna, British Columbia, Taylor didn't look to a career in movies. He was actually dreaming like a lot of us were, playing in the NHL. Here's the thing, he was close. He was really good. Then at the age of 19, he blew out his knee. So change of plan, moved to New York.